Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep critical difficulty Aqua video walkthrough. We're moving towards Olympus Coliseum. You'll notice it says a combat level of 5. I do not think the levels are your levels. I think it's just this other scale, this like proprietary scale that the game never really explains. I think I preferred it when it told you what level you should be, or the recommended level, because then you had an understanding that the higher the number in that sequence, the more difficult the area is. And I remember this area being quite tricky, because it has... I think you have to compete in the Coliseum, and if you don't, it's probably not too bad. But there is a Coliseum mission where there are a ton of these jellyfishes that I'm almost certain are two-dimensional, but they look really good in spite of that. Straight up Duke Nukem tech. And you can just instantly die. They just melt you for no reason. It's... I don't know, it's like somebody farted cyanide into your veins and just accelerated it and boom, you were done. Because you just drop. And I have dropped for no apparent reason. And there's also a sequence when you come back here with another character where you go through that doorway and you go into the town. And they're there as well at the end of a big fight, and they can melt you too. So whatever it is about those stupid things that enable them to be so dangerous, just be aware. If you see those jellyfish, have no mercy. Get them up in the air with magnet or some kind of gravity spell. Just get them away from you. Just straight up. Do not show mercy, guys. You can't. They will kill you faster than any of these idiots out here. And these idiots can, they can do decent damage, if you give them a chance. They like to block as well, this enemy. Pretty fun. Bump them up. Keep the blade charged for a different wave. And then unleash it on a full wave and see what it does. Right, look at the devastation. This game is so much fun. After a while, whoa, that's a new one. We're using the slot edge. That's pretty fun. I love how there's so many gimmicky, silly things. It's just cool. Oh, it's just fun. Like, really fun. There's so many games that you can play these days that just really aren't that much fun. Super self-serious, very particular, just lacking in areas, not fully realising what they wanted to be, trying to please too many people instead of focusing on their vision. Like, so many watered down experiences. And then you come to something like this, which, I suppose at this point, this is... How many sequels has this game had at this point? Like 5? It's quite a lot, yet there's none of the Assassin's Creed or Call of Duty or insert series you're not a fan of that's gone on for too long. There's none of that with this, because every time the game turns up it's somehow different. It's familiar, and you're going through very similar areas, but they've changed the mechanics so much that it's almost unrecognisable in features, and I love that. Like, I think Kingdom Hearts 2 probably had the weakest jump, because all they did is get rid of the ability to roll and give you an ability to press triangle and win. Like, win every situation if you press triangle. There's no penalty for mashing triangle, so you spent most of the time when you were evading just mashing triangle in hopes that it would pop up a triangle and you'd survive. And I think that made the game suffer, and they did make it a lot better in the final mix. And if you play that game at level 1 on critical, it's a completely different game. You have to be a lot smarter, and I love that, but my argument is you should have had to have been a lot smarter from the beginning, because these games were literally never for kids. They might be Disney, they might be kiddie-ish looking, but how many Final Fantasy fans grew up playing Square games back when they were Squaresoft, that wanted to play this because it had their favourite characters, and they picked it up and they realised that there was a fun game there. Like, I hate that mentality of people that see things and assume it's for children. Like we know what's for children, because essentially children are tabula rasa. They're these clean slates. How the fuck do you know what they like? Maybe that one likes murdering people. Maybe that one likes drowning itself. Like, you don't know what they like. They could be fucked up. They could be super smart. There is no... one taste to fit all. That's just not how anything works, and the people that perceive it that way, just incredibly ignorant. So when the first response to something is, oh, it's for kids, and we all have this, and we've all had it, it's one of those things that I think is almost societal, and it's almost conditioned from perhaps our parents. Because how many times have you been told to grow up in your lifetime? I've been told a lot. I am a rather silly man for my age. It's something that I like being silly. I think if you can laugh at something, it's a hell of a lot better than crying. Unless it's one of those good cries that we need every so often. even if you're a man, because of course men do cry. It's not just sand that falls from their faces when they squint really hard after doing something very manly. And as I try and get this, and I'm not doing a very good job because I used the wrong command. Oh, I missed it, damn it. You can come back with a better jump to do this if you don't want to mess around using abilities, but I like to try and get them early. And you don't need it at all, but I like to do it. So there you go, that's one way of doing it. But the notion that things are for children is probably the greatest patronising gesture that we've ever invented. Like, how many people here are fans of anime or manga, and somebody's made that wonderfully just... It's so deluded, the notion that cartoons, because everything's a cartoon, it's not, you know, any kind of mature or creative thing. It's a cartoon, of course, and cartoon is a diminished version of saying it's for kids, it's scrap, it's for people who couldn't do anything else, of course. It's not artistic or interesting or mature or creative, it's just, you know, it's a cartoon. And how many people have been told that, aren't you a bit too old to watch cartoons? Like, what does that even mean? It's just this weird thing, and it stems, unfortunately, from people not understanding the medium of it, and stigmas, societal stigmas from a very long time ago, where man must be man, when, you know, you left school at 14 with no grades, and you had to immediately go into, you know, some kind of very intensive manual labour job and break stones with your face, which, that kind of stuff still exists, and if that's what you want to do, that's fantastic. But if you want to write about cartoons, or write cartoons, or draw cartoons, that is nowhere at all inferior to breaking rocks with your face. Yet those people will never see it that way, because unfortunately that conditioning is too strong. But I'll never understand why people thought these were for kids. I understand having a childish looking aesthetic, or having something that looks like it would appeal to younger audiences, but there are parts of Kingdom Hearts 1 where kids just will not be able to do it because it can get really fucking hard. You know, that's why they say there is a real... Like, I'm going to end that tangent because I don't think it's worth it. By the way, this is that where the final wave of this, which all has to be done on one life, is those jellyfish that can kill you. But, like old Disney's and Pixar to some extent, where a lot of the writing in it is subtle enough but clever enough that it can entertain adults as well, so it's kind of that transformative property of, this is a kids film, whatever the hell that means in the, you know, in 2015, but it's also entertaining for adults because it has things that children just won't be aware of. Like, if you watch some of those old Disney films, you will see parts of them where the language used is just way above young people's heads. It's way above some adults. Like, how many people know what Paragon means until you played Mass Effect, or something of that nature? Or, what was it, Final Fantasy X-2? Paragon was one of the, he was like a super boss. That's where I learnt what that meant, by the way. Final Fantasy X-2 made me go into a dictionary, an actual book, not at the internet, and find out what that word meant, which is why I know what it is. But that is used in one of the songs in Beauty and the Beast. And when did Beauty and the Beast come out? 95? 94? Somewhere around there? Like, I had no idea what that shit meant, and you're telling me that's aimed at children? That lyricism and that wordplay? Come on now, son. But it's very easy to condemn something because your tastes don't align with it, and it's something that we all do, and it's something that we do without knowing it sometimes. So I think a lot of it is not necessarily meant to be malicious in any way, it's just instinctual, and it's a strange thing we learn to do. And it's one of those things that I wish we didn't, but when you become an adult and you get responsibilities and, you know, life shows its real fangs, you realise that, you know, sometimes you have to change in those ways. But yeah, I don't like that term, to try and put a bow on this, and I think saying a certain game is for children is severely underestimating the intelligence and the fortitude of children, because the stuff I was doing when I was younger on games is stuff I shouldn't have been doing and perhaps not even able to do, and I know that I wasn't alone. How many people listening to this right now played a game when you were younger that absolutely kicked your ass, but you stuck in there and you got somewhere and you did something that was damn impressive, like something that wasn't, you know, tailored to your level. And what we get now is the same thing we get with cartoons, where it's neutered to the point where it's almost had a commission of people, these fucking focus testing, focus group bullshit, where they take everything away from it and they neuter it in such a way that it's the most just soulless husk of entertainment ever, that's immensely patronising and not even stimulating, so children don't get any of that good stuff. And I think it's wrong, which is why a lot of the children's games, which is essentially some kind of license from maybe a TV show or maybe something that's successful or some kind of animation, are generally really simple and really easy and really bad games, because they're assuming that kids can't do anything. They're assuming that they're just fucking invalids with big heads and tiny bodies. Like, they're not. They're tomorrow's professionals. They're the people that might cure the disease that you might die of. Like, these people will build the world, like, and we're treating them like idiots. Never understood that. But thank you very much for listening, guys. I hope you didn't have too much trouble with that final wave in the Coliseum. I will see you in the boss fight, which is a little tricky, but nothing you can't manage. You take care now.